Hey, welcome everyone. On this Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2023. It's Wednesday, a Big Idea Wednesday, and ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to unravel the perplexing mysteries of our own minds. It's time to talk about the curse of knowledge. Yeah. Now, I know what you're thinking, Tom. Is that like the curse of finding out your favorite politician writes erotic novels on weekends? Well, not exactly, but close. What's up, Stacey Abrams? The curse of knowledge is that little gremlin in our brains that makes us forget that not everyone is a walking encyclopedia of random trivia. It's like the universe's way of keeping us humble. Oh, you think you're smart with your knowledge? Well, try explaining quantum physics to your mom. Well, we all fall victim to this curse, folks. You've got your friend who watches one documentary about climate change and suddenly they're reciting carbon emissions data at the barbecue like they're auditioning for Climate Change the Musical. You can't just be our guest and solve global warming. But seriously, why do we do this to ourselves? Well, it's simple. Our brains are wired to think that what we know, everyone else knows too. Yeah. It's like going to a party and assuming everyone's as obsessed with kendamas as you are. Newsflash, folks, they're not. Now, how can we avoid this curse? Well, first, let's all take a deep breath and admit that we're not experts on everything. It's okay to not know the intricate details of how the blockchain works. And second, let's master the art of simplifying our explanations. If your mom asks you about quantum physics, just say it's like explaining Facebook to a dog. It's complicated, and they'd rather chase a ball. And finally, let's be open to questions. If you're explaining Bitcoin to a fan of The View, don't be surprised if they ask, can I eat it? So there you have it, folks, the curse of knowledge. It's a reminder that we're all just floating in the same swirling sea of ignorance, pretending we know what we're doing. And next time you're tempted to drop some obscure knowledge, remember, there's a fine line between enlightening and sounding like a flat earther. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show. Best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Yeah, curse of knowledge. That's what we're talking about today, and there's lots of different places that this can come about. So let me just give you a couple examples of where the curse of knowledge can do you in. Like, for example, with work jargon, right? Someone's talking about the synergy between front end and back end development. Well, that may make sense if you're in on it, but if you're talking to somebody else at lunch and they're not in on all that, well, they don't get it, you know. Another example might be explaining technology, right? You got your iPhone and you're telling someone to swipe, tap, pinch, all that kind of stuff. Well, maybe your mom doesn't know what pinching is on an iPhone. She's like, what do you mean? Where's the back button? I'll never get over that. Medical jargon, right? You go in, you see your doctor, and your doctor just talks to you like you know what gastroesophageal reflux disease is. No, explain it to me, please. Like, don't just use this medical jargon and expect that I know what you're talking about, because I don't. Teaching kids, right? Picture explaining multiplication to a 5-year-old. You know, it's like groups of things, right? Multiplication. Okay, it's like 2 times 3 is like having 2 groups of 3 things. So let's have 3 things and let's have 2 groups of them. How many are all together? There's something on Reddit and on the internet called Explain It Like I'm 5. And we have to keep that in mind. That a lot of people don't know what you know, because if they knew what you know, you wouldn't have to explain it to them, right? So, you know, something else could be like artistic critique. You know, not everyone can appreciate the subtle nuances that you're picking up on. I remember going to a wine tasting and keep hearing about tannins and things. And it's like, yeah, I don't know what a tannin is. Can you just like refresh my memory on this? And no, it doesn't taste like leather, you know. But, you know, we get caught up in this. We just think everyone knows what we know. Sports commentary. Here's a perfect example of this. A number of people in my life played football, played college football, right? I didn't. I don't know these terms. And they throw out things, nickel defense, cover two, pulling guard. And I'm like, I don't know what a pulling guard is. I mean, I can guess, but like not everyone has your background in this. And so please don't just assume that because I'm an American male that I know all this, you know, all these terms. Cooking techniques, right? Caramelizing an onion. Well, I don't know what that means. Explain it. Emulsify the sauce? Like, you can't just say emulsify the sauce. You gotta explain it, right? Historical context. This is a good one, right? Someone just throws out, they're talking about something and they're like, yeah, well, you know, the Treaty of Tordesillas and da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, the Treaty of what? The 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas? What the hell is that? Well, for the record, it's an agreement between the monarchs of Spain and Portugal on how they were going to divide the world up, right? But if you're talking about something and you reference something like that, don't just assume that everyone knows what you're talking about. So here's some tips on this for the curse of knowledge. Know your audience, right? And most people don't. Most people don't know their audience. You want to know your audience. You want to simplify your language. That's something that I try to do. Not that I'm saying that I know more than you do. I'm not saying that. I just know different stuff than you do. And so I always try to simplify my language when I'm trying to explain things. Analogies and metaphors are really good. Now, they're not necessarily persuasive, but they're good for explaining things, right? And storytelling is really good. So if you have a concept, if you can somehow work it into a story, that makes it easier to understand. And try to avoid over-explaining. This is a big thing that I do too much. I'm aware of this. I will over-explain something. I will repeat something too many times. But I kind of feel like too many is better than not enough. But I know that's annoying, right? The goal is to ensure that your message is understood by your audience in a way that's meaningful and valuable. So that is the key to the curse of knowledge. And it sounds really arrogant, right? The curse of knowledge, you know? And maybe it is. But that's what it is, right? There's also a curse of ignorance. And I'd rather have the curse of knowledge than the curse of ignorance, right? So anyway, that is the concept that I wanted to explain to you today on this Big Idea Wednesday. I do think it's a big idea. I do think that it's something to consider. And you can consider it all the time when you're communicating with people, how to communicate better. You just can't assume that everyone knows everything you do, because we've all had unique experiences. Yeah. So anyway, I got a good show for you today. Got a number of stories to get through today, including some breaking news. Yeah, first up, let's talk about this debate that's coming up. Yeah, so this is happening tonight. Republican presidential candidates are set to participate in the first primary debate for the 2024 season. Donald Trump, he's the front runner, but he's not going to be there. Instead, he's going to be doing an interview with Tucker Carlson. I guess it was already recorded, and it's going to be posted online at the same time the debate begins. That's some smart counter-programming there. Candidates had to meet specific criteria for the from the RNC to qualify for the debate. And shockingly enough, the RNC isn't just changing their criteria as things go along, like some other national party tends to do. Anyway, so there were some donor thresholds and some polling requirements that needed to be met to appear on stage. Otherwise, we would have, 80 candidates or something. If I could just throw my hat in the ring, fill out some paperwork, and I'd be like, I want to be on the stage too. Well, there's requirements that you need to meet. The debate's going to be hosted by Fox News with Brett Baer and Martha McCallum moderating. And it's going to be available on all different Fox platforms as well as live streamed on Rumble. Hey, we're on Rumble. I'm on Rumble. And I'm going to try to do like a watch-along simulcast thing on Rumble today. So I'm going to try. I don't know if it's going to work. I've never done like a watch-along type of thing. And so if you're interested in watching the Republican debate with your buddy Tom, just come to my channel and I'm going to try to do it. May or may not work. But the candidates are going to be Asa Hutchinson, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Doug Burgum. I did hear some news about Doug that he... not sure what that was. Injured himself playing sports like a boss. So, but I guess he's still going to be there. The counter program is going to be Tucker Carlson talking with Trump. That should also be pretty good too, right? So, anyway, that's happening this evening. I should know what time it's happening. I should announce what time it's happening. I thought I had that written down somewhere, but I don't. Well, whenever it's starting. I think it's 6 o'clock on the West Coast, but maybe 5. I'm not sure. Look it up. Anyway, I did want to just tell you some breaking news. I don't have any Chiron for it or any graphics, or I don't even have the story, but I just saw that there was an aircraft that was apparently shot down by the Russian military as it was traveling to Moscow, and it may have had Wagner Group's Prigozhin and his other top leaders of the Wagner Group in the plane, and it's been shot down. So right now, none of this has been super verified. I mean, it's kind of been verified. It's like on RT and all the Russian sites. They've announced it, that it happened, but, they haven't gone through the wreckage to... All they've said is that he was listed as a passenger on the plane, but, I mean, do we really know if he got on the plane or not? We don't 100% know. It's not 100% confirmed. But, so that is just some breaking news. Probably have some more on that once we find out more. It's all breaking. So, yeah. But anyway, next up, I do have an update about Mr. Peters. Robert L. Peters. So Biden has this secret email alias, Robert L. Peters. I mean, could he have picked a shadier name if he tried? It's like he's competing with Hillary Clinton for the most creative use of emails award. Anyway, here's the story. The update is concerns arose among Republicans in 2016 when President Joe Biden's government email address alias, Robert L. Peters, received an email discussing Ukraine that also included Hunter Biden. The alias was linked to a government network domain, which is kind of unusual. Hunter Biden's laptop contained emails related to this alias, some personal and other potentially involving official government business. So the update on this is this email address that he was using was actually a government email. So this was all like official. I think like the subdomain for it had been used by the Secret Service and some other things like that. So an official U.S. government email address that he was using as a way to hide some of his business practices that he apparently is not doing. Anyway, it's just an update. You know, it is interesting. Actually, let me do a search right now. Let's see if I can do the search live. I wonder if I were to search for Robert L. Peters and I click on news. Well, we got the Daily Mail, the New York Post, Fox News, National Register. But you know what? I wasn't sure if the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN would be talking about this pseudonym, Robert L. Peters, for Joe Biden. I thought there'd be no way that they could not cover this story, right? They still haven't covered this story. Go ahead, check for yourself. Robert L. Peters, do a search and see if you can find any, CBS, NBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. None of them have covered it yet. Is it not news? Now, I'm not saying it needs to be the top headline, right? Top headline. Hey, we caught Joe Biden doing shady stuff. I'm not saying it has to be the top headline. You can't cover it on page 17? Really? Really? Really tells you what you need to know about those corporate media entities. And should they even be considered news if they are blatantly withholding important information from you? I don't know. Maybe we need a new name for the corporate news that hides stories from you. Perhaps we need that. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is some semi-good news involving the moon. Whoa, did you hear about India's spacecraft landing on the moon's south pole? Yeah, India just wanted to show Russia that they're not the only ones that can give crash landings a shot. But seriously, congrats to India for nailing the landing, which is kind of the most important part of a moon landing, right? An Indian spacecraft triumphantly landed on the moon's rugged south pole, a significant success for India's space program. Yeah, this accomplishment followed a Russian failure and was celebrated by Prime Minister Modi. India's space agency, ISRO, led the mission, making India as the fourth nation to achieve a moon landing. This triumph could pave the way for future Mars and Venus missions. The mission's challenging landing site holds potential resources for future space exploration. The achievement garnered national celebration and prayers, underscoring India's scientific and technological progresses. So this is great news. You know, you'd really have to wonder if both Russia and India crashed. You'd be like, what the hell is going on with the South Pole of the moon? You know, but yeah, India was able to land it, so good for them. This here, right there, not an actual photo. That's more graphics that I found online. Couldn't actually find video of it landing on the moon yet. But maybe that'll come out. Anyway, cool that was able to happen. And yeah, you know, not everything is bad news, right? We got some good news about this. Anyway, this next story is kind of funny. Interesting timing, too. So I don't know if you heard about Putin's latest act. I mean, the one before Prigozhin's plane got shot down. He couldn't make it to the BRICS summit because, well, you know, tiny issue with, like, war crimes indictments. So what does he do? He sends a video message with a dubbed voice. I mean, seriously, who does he think he is? Like an action movie villain? Maybe. Anyway, here's the story. Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed a BRICS summit via a video message due to the risk of his arrest under an international criminal court indictment for Russia's actions in Ukraine. Funny how they're the ones that, you know, he's a bad war criminal, but, never mind. Okay. Anyway, he conveyed that Russia would only rejoin the Black Sea grain deal if specific conditions were fulfilled. However, the video presented at the summit had Putin's voice dubbed with various styles ranging from Hollywood villain to Barry White or a disguised gangster, right? The original video on the Kremlin website showed Putin coughing and discussing Russia's willingness to return to a deal if certain sanctions were lifted. The reason for the dubbed voice was not explained, but the state news agency RIA mentioned that Putin's speech wasn't in his own voice. And so I just want to play this for you because I find it somewhat amusing. You may have to turn up the thing, you know, let's just see if it'll be loud enough. I tested it, but somehow when I run this live, the audio doesn't seem to be quite as good. So anyway, here it is.
Экспертов и отраслевых специалистов, которые собрались на встречу делового форума в рамках БРИКС. Отмечу, что регулярное проведение таких деловых форумов, как и системная работа делового совета БРИКС, объединяющего ведущих бизнесменов и глав крупнейших компаний стран пятерки, действительно играет большую практическую роль в продвижении.
So that was it. Somewhat kind of funny having a voice, dubbing the voice like this. I mean, maybe I should do that. Just do a deep voice all the time. Who knows? Anyway, I just kind of found that amusing. I guess it's not really that important news, but that's what I chose to share with you today. You know, sometimes if I find something interesting, maybe you'll find it interesting. Maybe you won't. But the one thing that you know for sure is I'm not being paid or coerced into what I choose as my stories. Clearly, because if I were, I would have more views. So you can be sure that I'm not an agent for any government. And I'm not part of the Mockingbird media. Anyway, we do have some good news, and let me tell you about it now. You know, folks, they're gearing up for the biggest Loch Ness monster search since, well, I don't know, since Nessie lost her keys in 1972. Yeah, they've got this high-tech equipment and a horde of enthusiastic volunteers. Let me tell you about this story. This is great. The Loch Ness Center is hosting the largest ever search for the Loch Ness Monster, featuring volunteers using advanced tech. This is the biggest search since 1972, and the high demand forced them to close signups. So, volunteers, we've got enough. They're turning them away. The lake, Britain's largest, will be surveyed with hydrophones and drones. Despite past hoaxes, potential inspirations for the monster included giant catfish and European eels. The event's organizer, Paul Nixon, is excited about the comprehensive search and is dedicated to preserving the legend's legacy. So here's what happened, and this is why I think that this is really, really cool. See, they wanted a way to do a surveillance of the Loch Ness, right? They wanted to do a bunch of information gathering for this lake. And they don't have the resources to do it. And so he came up with an idea. Hey, let's make this the largest search for the Loch Ness Monster. Get all the volunteers, and we can do this all at the same time. And so we're able to use the volunteers to gather all of the data that we're looking to do that we couldn't do otherwise. And all the people that are volunteering, well, they're doing it because of the story of the Loch Ness Monster, right? So they're volunteering their time, and I think that this is a win-win all around for everyone. And I think it's good news, right? You can get creative if you're, a government agency, or you're some nonprofit or something like that, and you need help. You need help in your surveillance or whatever you're doing. You need help in what you're doing. You invite the public, and the public helps you out. All around, everybody wins. I think it'd be a fun thing to participate in it. And also, it's great that they're able now to have more data on the lake that they were looking to have. So I think that's good news all around. I know that out here in Oregon, in Boring, Oregon, it's actually the name of the town, they have a Bigfoot Research Institute, right? They've got a museum about Bigfoot. And, they could probably pull something like that, if there were something that they wanted to go out and measure and they needed the help of hundreds of people, they could organize something like that. So I salute the Loch Ness Society, or whatever is doing this, the Loch Ness Center. I salute them for their creative ways of getting some free labor. So good for them. Good for them. Anyway, stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all of your comments. And join me this evening as I try to watch the Republican debate. I'll see if I can get it to work. Who knows? I'm not the best at this tech stuff, this live streaming stuff, but I'll give it a shot. So please come watch the debates with me. I don't know that I'll have a whole lot to say, but, we'll see. We'll see what it is. Anyway, stick around for the after show. And if I don't see you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Peace. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining the after show, y'all. I appreciate you. Over on Rumble, now make sure I got a link in the description of the video. Not only a link to every story that I reference for every show, an archived link so you can check it out for yourself. Make sure I'm not making this stuff up. I do have a link to sign up for Rumble. I don't know that I get anything for people signing up, but a couple of people have clicked the link and signed up for Rumble through the link. And so I encourage you to do that if you haven't signed up yet. One of the fun things over on Rumble is I have some custom emojis and things like that to join in with. So that's kind of fun. Big Daddy 5150 checking in over on Rumble. Apothecary John, hashtag Rumble Gang. Good to see you over there. Apothecary John says, is it just me or is the picture much clearer here on Rumble? So you're telling me you get a clearer picture on Rumble than you do on YouTube? I don't know if that's true or not, but that's interesting. Tom, I'm not an officer with the CIA. Well, that's exactly what an officer with the CIA would have us believe, isn't it? You got me. You got me. You got me. Oh, man. Actually, if I were, I'd probably have a little newer car. Just saying. Just saying. But thanks for going with the bit. Anyway, over on YouTube, lots of people checking in. Natasha, what's up? Hashtag flame on. Let's see. Lots of people preparing other websites to leave YouTube. Lucid says he'll be watching Tucker. Let's see. So where's this going to be? X, formerly Twitter? I'm going to be on Rumble. On X, Tucker will have Trump on. 9 o'clock East Coast time. So that's 6 o'clock on the West Coast. There we go. Thank you for that information. I couldn't remember what it was. I thought that's what it was. Good job, India. Yeah. New curry restaurant to open on the moon 2024. Just don't get takeout. It's going to be cold. But war criminal can't show up, but we'll listen to him on Skype. Yeah, pretty much. That's how it works. Maybe he had laryngitis. I brought a dog squeaky toy to work once when I had laryngitis to get attention when necessary. My supervisor was okay with it. That's kind of fun. Need attention? You just squeeze a little squeaky toy. That's cool. A question, Natasha, if you've heard anything about, I've heard lots of rumors that that we're going to start going back to some masking and things like that. I was wondering if you heard anything in your TSA meetings. If you have, let me know. Because I've heard that there are a number of places that are talking about this behind the scenes. As of right now, it's just unconfirmed, right? You're a sleeper cell, Tom. I'm a terrible sleeper cell, if that's the point. Gonzo the Good hit me up with $5. I appreciate that, Gonzo the Good. Catching you live for once. Interesting concept. I find myself explaining to people like they understand sometimes. Didn't know there was a name. Yeah, that is the name. The curse of knowledge. It does sound really arrogant, but that is it. And like I say, there's a number of tips on how to communicate and just not take for granted that everyone knows everything that you do, right? Because we don't. Let's hope Nessie cooperates and doesn't eat anybody. Yeah. Bigfoot Institute, really? Yeah, well, we got a lot of Bigfoot out here in the Pacific Northwest, but there is a museum out there in Boring. I should go out there someday and just make a video about that because it's really fun. One thing that I love about Boring, Oregon is I can ride my bike from my house, and there's a trail called the Springwater Corridor, which was an old railroad tracks that they paved and turned into a bike trail, and it goes all the way to Boring, Oregon. It's maybe like 8 miles or something. From my place, it's not that far. But yeah, and then I can just hit on over to the Bigfoot Institute. Actually, I think that's. Trying to remember, was it my birthday? I went to Boring. I don't know. I went there for lunch recently. So that was a lot of fun. Krispy Kreme Christie. Yeah. How many times do you think Christie will put down Trump tonight? I should have a counter on that, because apparently we know that's what he's really there for. He's there just to insult and degrade Trump. That's his purpose for being on the debates. Hi, bad internet here today. Sorry about that, Jody. I went to Comcast yesterday. Oh my God. I was in there like 90 minutes working on changing some of my plan. And, it's unreal. I don't know how that company functions because they did not know what they were doing. Crazy. Anyway, 4th of July. Maybe it was 4th of July. I can't remember. Maybe it was, Natasha. Anyway, that's all I have for y'all today. Thanks for joining me in the after show. Like I say, I'm going to give this watch along a shot this evening for the Republican debate. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a new thing that I do, or it could just be a disaster. Either way, should be a good show. Anyway, hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you later. Peace.